Hello, everybody, and welcome into a Tuesday, March 15th edition of the Unreasonable Odds podcast. That is right, Tuesday, March 15th. That means the NCAA Tournament starts tonight as we record this. First four games on Tuesday, first four games on Wednesday, and then the real fun begins on Thursday and Friday, so we waste no time. We will get into it. Later in the podcast, director of DraftKings Sportsbook, Johnny Avello, who we haven't talked to since NFL season, will be joining me to go behind the book a little bit, talk about the openers, talk about where some of the money is on these games. But for now, we welcome back a guest that has been on with us a handful of times to talk some college hoops, talk some college football. Ben Rasa from Awesemo.com comes in to talk some March Madness. Ben, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Yeah, it's what can you say? It's best time of the year. Couple days. We are underway. We get a couple appetizers tonight, but I'm excited to dive into it.
It is the best time of the year. As I mentioned to you right before we went on, I will be out in Vegas for the best time of the year. So those listeners that out in Vegas, tweet me. I told everybody already. Let's meet up. Let's watch games. Let's sweat games. Let's talk about the games that we're going to sweat, and we're going to go through it chronologically. We got no time to waste. We'll touch real quick on the first four games starting Tuesday night. The first one, 16 playing Texas A&M Corpus Christi, getting 3.5 against Texas Southern. This is the game out of the four that I think I know the least about. But just diving into it briefly, and I read Greg Peterson's article from VSiN, who posts some plays for DraftKings Nation for us on the DraftKings playbook. He liked A&M Corpus Christi plus 3.5. Southern can turn the ball over. And, if you just look at the splits, the public doesn't know much about this game. And we had, less than 50% of the bets on the dog in this one. Yet it was, between 75 and 80% of the money. So bigger, sharper bets coming in on the dog. That's probably where I'll be here, Ben. Any quick thoughts?
So I know one of these teams better than most people. The other team, Texas Southern, I really don't know much about. I've seen A&M Corpus Christi play a little bit just because in their conference, which is clearly a one-bid league, Nicholls State was a team that I really thought not was going to make some crazy run, but they're a decent little squad. And Corpus Christi was able to knock them out, knocked off Southeastern Louisiana. So I have seen them. To me, a game like this, I view it truly as kind of a toss-up game. So if you're going to tell me that I'm going to get 3.5 points, I'm going to roll with the dog. That happens to be Corpus Christi, which makes me even more comfortable. But I would probably be taking the points regardless in this one, and that's what I'll do tonight.
All right, there we go. Nightcap, Indiana and Wyoming. Indiana, a growing favorite here. Wyoming getting 4 points now. I wanted to fade the Big Ten coming into tournament play. It's uncomfortable to lay the points with Indiana. If I bet this one, I would lay the points with Indiana. They're coming off a nice little Big Ten run, heartbreaking loss to Iowa with that 3 off glass, essentially at the buzzer, kind of blew a late lead, but they came back from 17 down to get Michigan. They beat the 1 seed Illinois. It's, in Dayton, it's going to be much more of a home game for Indiana than Wyoming, you would think. Neutral floor, Wyoming 1-3 against the spread this season. Indiana 4-0 against the spread. Indiana on a 6-1 ATS run. I thought Wyoming might slide out, and we might see one of those last bubble teams that is on the wrong side in the NIT now get in because of the slow finish. This team started 21-3 and then finished 4-5 over the last 9 games. The way they're playing right now, I think a Big Ten team that's got a little momentum like Indiana is going to be a problem for them. It's very public, obviously. Everybody watches a lot more Indiana than Wyoming. I do think it's the right side. 4 is a decent amount to lay. Could be a money line parlay piece if you're making a small one. But yeah, Indiana's the side for me.
Yeah, it's a weird game. Wyoming started really good, but they were also beating up on just absolute garbage. Right. Indiana, I mean, they've played a couple dozen teams probably better than the strength of Wyoming's schedule. And the Mountain West is definitely stronger this year. There's no doubt about that. I just kind of worry about where this is. I'm not going to bet this game. I'll be honest. I don't really have a feel on how Wyoming specifically can deal with the front court. If Indiana gets them in foul trouble and whatnot, this could be pretty ugly, but Wyoming plays, like most of these teams, pretty methodical and solid defense. It's going to be an ugly game. The total is very pedestrian. Kind of a stay away. Indiana seems to be taking all the money, and that's not surprising.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I would be a little surprised if Indiana lost. So I don't. Maybe I'll be on Indiana, but I don't know if I can pull the trigger there. It will be a little bit of a rock fight, like you said. All right, let's move into the game of the tournament.
I know where you're going.
Wednesday evening, the early tip, 16 seeds, Wright State, a growing favorite. This opened closer to a pick on DK Sportsbook. It is now Wright State laying 3.5 against America's team, the Bryant Bulldogs. Peter Kiss, Charles Pride, great backcourt out of Smithfield, Rhode Island. I'm happy that it's moving the way it's moving. I don't know exactly why it is, but it is. Just going through the numbers, how these teams have performed all season and against the spread and win-loss and road and neutral court, they're very similar numbers. So if you tell me you're giving me over a possession with Bryant plus 3.5 now, a team that really wants to be here. They wanted to be here last year. They lost their conference championship game at home. They dominated it this year, made sure that they were going to be in the field. And now I think they want to make sure that they get the spotlight to, earn the right to go get mopped by Arizona in the next round, but at least do it under the national spotlight. I think Bryant wins this game, maybe interest me in some plus 140 money line, but getting the 3.5, I like this team.
I mean, I think if anyone has followed my college basketball season, it's lived and died with the Bryant Bulldogs. I have bet them more than any other team this year. And wow. That's disturbing, but also accurate. Early in the year, they did get to test themselves against elite competition, and it did not go well. They were destroyed by Clemson. They were destroyed by Houston. They lost by 57 in that game. They were beat down by Cincinnati, but they got much stronger. Part of it is because they play in a weaker conference, but you started to see this offensive firepower, and you mentioned that backcourt. Wright State, I mean, yes, quality team, got through Northern Kentucky in the horizon, but they weren't exactly the juggernauts of that league. Cleveland State was the team that I think most expected to come out of there. So to me, Bryant, I like the money line here. I think they're going to win this game. They can outscore them. You mentioned they obviously want to be here. This has been a mission, a 155 total in this game. I think that's the pace we want to play at. I obviously am sticking with Bryant. They have earned the right to be dismantled by Arizona.
Yes, I agree. And I'll be looking at an over in that Arizona game if our Bulldogs win. That's going to be pace and points. We'll see what it is. Hopefully we get it. All right, here's another one. These ones are always weird, just like Wyoming, Indiana is weird. Notre Dame and Rutgers, another Big Ten team. They get so many teams in the field, but two of them are playing in the play-in games against Notre Dame that finished as the 2 seed in an extremely down ACC outside of Duke, and Duke might not even be that good. And then get bounced in their first game by Virginia Tech, who gets hot and goes on to win the conference tournament. Rutgers getting a point. Again, I keep saying I want to fade the Big Ten in this tournament, and I will. I think like a Virginia Tech in the second round, if they get through Texas, could knock off a Purdue. Like, I'm ready to fade the Big Ten in certain spots. This isn't one of them. Rutgers had a winning record outright as an underdog this season. They're 9-2 against the spread in their last 11 as an underdog. Obviously, this much closer to a pick. But Notre Dame hangs its hat on the home Kentucky win and not much else. Otherwise, it's just beat up on a bad ACC and won home games, 1-4 straight up, 1-4 against the spread on neutral court games. I think Rutgers is the more talented team. I think they'll have the best player on the floor. I lean to Rutgers here. I haven't bet it yet, but that's probably where I'll be if I get in on that game.
Agree. I also haven't bet it, and I'm not sure that I will. But to me, Rutgers has just shown it, and it's very debatable on how strong these conferences are, but time and time again, they've gone in away from home, beat a team like Wisconsin. Obviously, they had an absurd win against Purdue early in the year. They can play. They've got the talent. I kind of just trust them a little more. This is probably a game, though, I would be more apt to watch 5-10 minutes of it and hit it live than take a position before the game.
There you go. All right, first game on Thursday that tips off is Michigan, Colorado State. Michigan gets the 11 seed. Colorado State earned its 6 seed, but hey, look what happens. It opens a pick, moves as high as 3 while we were doing our live show on Sunday night. Now settled in at 2 on DK Sportsbook. It's a weird game. Here's how I'm going to play it. I wrote this in my article. If I do get in, I'm going to play Michigan -1 first half. I think they get off to a good start after that disappointing collapse in the Big Ten tournament, losing that 17-point lead to Indiana. I think they're a mismatch for Colorado State, and they'll show that early. Don't like Juwan Howard as a coach. Don't want to have money on Michigan potentially blowing another lead. I think Michigan will beat Colorado State. It's a good matchup for them as an 11/6, but I'm just going to go with the first half and Michigan getting out to a good start.
I really like Colorado State in life, but I agree that this is an awful spot, particularly with Michigan running their offense through Hunter on the inside. He is just so dynamic. I'm not sure what Colorado State is going to be able to do there. And I mean, I think honestly, the spread kind of indicates it. The seeds and the spread, Michigan is the slight favorite here, and I think it is warranted. So I don't even know if I believe they should have got in. I think they would be better with Phil Martelli. There's a lot of things like that, but that's not the case. I don't see them going overly far, but unfortunately for Colorado State, who I really like, this is just a bad draw. And I have a feeling that Michigan is not even going to knock them off. They're just going to win a game that Vegas and everyone thinks they should.
Yep. All right. Big talking point game here. Number 13 seed South Dakota State against number 4 Providence. Providence, the luckiest team in the country. Sure.
Yes.
They didn't win them all by luck. They have a skill to also win crunch time games. I'm not saying they're not lucky as well, but it's both. You don't get through every single time on luck. It's a good team. So why is this near a pick? I'm a 2-point spread against South Dakota State. South Dakota State's good. I don't want to talk them down, but this is something I have bet. Providence minus 130 money line in this game. You all can take your trendy Jackrabbits pick and shove it. This shouldn't be a pick 'em. There's still a better Big East team here that is basically, I keep saying pick 'em, it's 2, but in a range where you can comfortably lay money line on Providence. South Dakota State did not lose a conference game, whatever it was, 20-21 in a row coming into play here. Here's what they did prior to the Summit League. They haven't even been an underdog since December 15th, a game that they lost and failed to cover against Missouri State. Jackrabbits won one game as an underdog all year, 3-point win over Washington State out of the Pac-12. Cool. It also showed a pretty low floor. The Jackrabbits lost a game as a 22.5-point favorite. I didn't even write down who they played, so I forget. Idaho. They stink. They lost that game as a 22.5-point favorite. So the most comparable game on their schedule that I saw for Providence would probably be something like them playing Alabama, which was very early in the year. 12.5-point dogs, lost by 16. South Dakota State hasn't shown me anything in any real matchup that they should be getting respect to be this close against a good team like Providence. Talk all you want about the Providence luck. It's true, but Providence is going to win this game.
So I am very disappointed as a South Dakota State backer that I thought we might be able to get this at 5.5.
Oh, right. See, that's what I was thinking. Like I was thinking 5.5, and then sure, if you want to take it, go ahead. And if South Dakota State got somebody else and was getting a lot of points, like sure, they're a good team to bet on. I'm not fading South Dakota State. Well, I kind of am, but I don't. Go ahead.
No, I get it. Listen, and if you want to wait, it's going to be an ebb and flow type game. I think you could probably find that during the game, and I'm good with that. I just identified this team. They shoot 44% from 3. Not only is that number 1 in the country, it's number 1 in the country by 4 percentage points. They are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. Now, to the credit, Providence is a very strong defensive 3-point.
They're not going to get those looks.
Yeah, strength on strength. There's no doubt. Watson on the inside versus Wilson on the inside. Both of these teams have a capable big. So I think it's just going to be a competitive game. And honestly, the spread is about right, which is interesting. Like, I don't think this screams must bet for South Dakota State. It's just a team in brackets and whatnot I am going to go with because I kind of am riding with them all year waiting for the spot. And, Providence, when they get in close games, they thrive. They also don't show up at times. That Creighton game was very, very poor. I'm going to ride with the Jackrabbits. I get why you're on the other side. Feels a little uncomfortable. I wish I got more points.
I like Providence coming off the blowout loss. And I like that people, like you almost just said, I like that people have the predetermined mindset of South Dakota State is a low seed I want to be on, and Providence is a high seed I want to fade, and they got each other, and it's the perfect storm for everybody to take South Dakota State, going the other way. All right, 8-9 matchup, Memphis, Boise State, the lower 9 seed, Memphis laying 2.5. This is a tough game for me. It's going to go one of two ways. The athletic young Memphis team is going to do damage and get through here and advance to play the Zags, or, the more sound team in Boise State is going to be too much for Memphis. Not much of a take here. I have Memphis in the bracket that I've filled out. I tend to think that a hot Memphis team that lost to Houston in that AAC final is going to be too much of a mismatch here, and we'll get through. Probably not a game I'll bet, but leaning Memphis.
Tough game. Could go either way for me. It's just styles. Boise is north of 300th in tempo. They're an extremely strong defense. Memphis is top 30 in tempo. They want to play fast. I think that Boise State has a better chance to control the tempo. But to me, Memphis, if both teams play their ceiling game, I think Memphis would win pretty comfortably.
Yep.
I think that Boise State is less likely to play a floor game. So take that for what it's worth. If I had to pick it, I would probably try to find +3 and take Boise, but it's a very, very tough game to bet.
Agree. One of the harder ones in the bracket. We can mostly skip these 1 seeds unless I'll just ask if you have anything like Norfolk State, Baylor. It's at 21.5. Any take?
No, I don't think Baylor is going to be a dangerous team because there's so many injuries, but Norfolk State can't expose that.
I think that UCLA has a chance to beat Baylor in the Sweet 16 is a spot that could happen. All right, more of these. These are ones, just for the sake of time, like just feel free to say pass on these. Tennessee 17.5 against Longwood. Tennessee's a team, if you can get a short number to make, short number, I mean like 170 to make the Sweet 16. Like I think there's some value, but nothing on this game for me.
No, Longwood, credit to them, destroyed Winthrop in that championship game. They're a good team. Tennessee's a elite team, and that's going to translate very poorly for them.
The Richmond Spiders were once down 1 million points to the Rhode Island Rams in the A10 tournament. Had Richmond in that game. They come all the way back to win it, exactly like the game we saw in Rhode Island at the Ryan Center that I was very familiar with because I had my Rhode Island Rams in that game. And then they just rip through the rest of the way. Then they're down 6 with a minute left to Davidson, pull through and win, steal a bit out of the A10. I like this team, a good veteran team, a lot like the St. Bonaventure team that couldn't get it together this year in the A10, but I don't like the matchup. Now, 10.5 points is too many. You might be able to interest me in Richmond. I also think Iowa's a very safe money line parlay piece if you're going to build like a 3-teamer. This is a weird one where I'll just say I think Richmond covers 10.5, but I think Iowa's a safe money line parlay piece.
Yeah, I'm not going to push back on that. I feel better about Richmond covering, to be honest. They just tend to not get, even many of their losses, 2 points, 7 points, 3 points.
The thing is, they do get blown out in game. The final score just never reflects it. They always battle that.
I know, and that's the thing. Like Iowa, but I kind of like that because Iowa is going to have a run in this game where they rattle off 3 or 4 threes in a row. Richmond doesn't seem to panic. Like that's okay. They will hang in. They've won 4 straight, an experienced team. I think the 10.5 is way too much. Now the total indicates that maybe this is a pretty up-tempo game. So that helps Iowa, but I'm going to take the points. I think this is pretty competitive as a 12-5.
All right. I like it. Zags and Georgia State. I will talk about this one for a minute. The Zags could be in trouble maybe when they see a team like, I don't know about, Memphis would be maybe a tougher matchup for them if they get it in the second round. Arkansas, UConn in the Sweet 16. Like, I don't think the Zags are going to be a cakewalk like people think, but they're going to throttle this opening game against Georgia State. I don't know if I'm going to lay it for the game. I wrote up in my article, Zags -14 first half might be how I'll play it. Georgia State got hot down the stretch in the Sun Belt. They've won 10 in a row. They've been favored in 12 in a row, and they've only been an underdog twice since the new year. And both were 2 points or shorter when they were an underdog. So Georgia State, anytime they faced anything close to real competition, mopped. The last decent competition, they played Georgia Tech out of the ACC in late December. Lost by double digits as a 4.5-point dog. They were a 9.5-point dog to Mississippi State. Lost 79-50. Earlier in the season, back in November, they even tried against some A10 competition, 2 teams we just talked about. They lost to URI and Richmond by a combined 51 points. Anytime they've played anyone that is not just some little Sunbelt team, they get mopped. So now you get the Zags. Like, I think this one's going to be 20 plus at halftime. I am willing to do something here with the Zags in the first game.
I mean, they score so many points, and I thought this would be closer to 30. Not that I'm looking to specifically about this. I thought it'd be around 30, to be honest. I don't know a ton about Georgia State, but
that's all. I don't know much either, but I just looked at those scores and I was like, they were getting killed back in November, December when they played anybody decent.
And unlike, again, maybe this is anecdotal, I will say real quick, unlike a lot of years where everybody's just like, oh my God, Gonzaga is unbeatable. This is the first year I think a lot of people are saying like they choke, they're not ready, they're not as good. I have a feeling they may come out and say like, okay, we're going to, instead of taking the foot off the gas, we're going to stretch our legs a little bit here. I wouldn't be stunned to see them run it up a little more than usual this year specifically.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I is the right move to use energy on throttling Georgia State if that's the knock they're getting.
I mean, their second team could, if they wanted to.
Right. But they are going to go throttle Georgia State. All right. Marquette, Carolina. Marquette 3-point dogs. This is a weird one for me. I think you have a play on it. And I've seen some people on this side. And if I bet it, I'm going to be on the side that you're on, but I don't know if I'm going to get there or not. So talk me into it.
Yeah, so I mean, part of it is that I really don't know exactly what to do with Marquette. I've struggled with them all year, but just seeing North Carolina kind of hit their stride late. Yes, Virginia Tech, I don't know if they were out of gas, they didn't show up, they just got outplayed, whatever. 6 straight wins before that, including Duke, including Virginia Tech, including Virginia. The Bigs, Baycock, they're just firing on all cylinders. This is one of the teams that specifically I've noticed that got significantly better throughout the year. And I love to target teams in the tournament that don't resemble, because a lot of people just look at the season as a whole. And I think North Carolina has a lot of bad data, whereas Marquette, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they've lost 6 of 10, nothing really firing late in the season. Fine team. I laid the 3 points. I think North Carolina is live to beat Baylor. I'll get that out there right now. I think that's going to be a hell of a game in the second round.
Yeah, I jumped ahead to what I think will be UCLA, but yeah, Carolina
very possible
in the game too. Baylor has a tough path with UNC and UCLA on the top half of their bracket, with them Kentucky, Purdue, Virginia Tech on the bottom half. Baylor's got a really tough draw. New Mexico State and UConn, 6.5 on this one, 131.5 total. No real feel for me. Like I said, if UConn gets through this game and Arkansas, I think they're going to give the Zags a game, but I don't really have a play on this one.
It's a tough. UConn's a weird team for me because I agree 100%, but I also think New Mexico State knows what they're doing.
This isn't an easy game at all.
Not at all. Like, they're experienced. They've got bigs. They're tested. They're a little conference. They beat some quality teams in there. This is no cakewalk, and they do a lot of things really good, including 3-point defense, where they're 22nd in the country, just 30% allowed, 26-6 on the year. This is a team, they beat Davidson early in the year. They've got some experience. I think ultimately UConn's going to win the game. If you want to go money line parlay and you want to put UConn in there, I wouldn't push back. I'm not laying these points though. I just don't see the need to do that.
I'm with you. Here's one for the sake of time we can probably roll over, but Kentucky, St. Peter's. I know you're a St. Peter's guy though. So
Peacocks, baby.
Go ahead. If you have anything nice to say about the Peacocks, or are they just going to get steamrolled?
They probably are going to get steamrolled. I will just throw this out there. Credit to Matt Kajeski, who told me this yesterday. In the last, he said, I believe 10 years, St. Peter's has the strongest defensive metrics of any 15 seed in the last decade. So this is a team that can really play defense. So there's just no possible way that they can score on Kentucky, though.
Right. All right. So curious to see what they can hold Kentucky to.
Only 80.
Good luck to the Peacocks. Here's another one that I just don't have much of a take on. This is one that I don't even have a team. I haven't even written a team in my bracket yet. Creighton and San Diego State kind of feels like Memphis, Boise State, and another coin flip 8-9 game. I'll be surprised if I get involved.
I'm not going to bet it. I have to pick it for my bracket. And this is coin flip situation. I think I hate to hedge like this, but it's the same thing I said about Memphis and Boise. I think that Creighton has the higher ceiling if they both play their A games, but I think that Creighton is more likely to be a no-show. It's just one of those situations. I'm not sure it's really going to matter. Maybe one of them gives the Jayhawks a game.
True. All right. Here's one that I have bet, or that I plan to bet, and it's UVM and Arkansas. And this just reminds me of Arkansas against Colgate last year, when everybody wanted the trendy underdog pick, and it looked like it was going that way. And then Arkansas decided to play, and not only came back and covered all those live lines, but covered the initial spread as well. Opened 5.5, down to 5, minus 105 on DK Sportsbook. I'm hoping for a 4.5 here on Arkansas. Vermont's great. I like them a lot, but this is too few points against a really good Arkansas team. UVM has won 22 of 23 games entering the tournament. They lost one conference game as a double-digit favorite, but just like who was I just talking about? Like Georgia,
South Dakota State
or like South Dakota State. We go back to earlier in the season. UVM did lose 2 games as short favorites, like 3-4 point favorites to lower level competition. And then they faced Maryland in November. They lost by 11 as 10-point dogs. They played Providence in December, lost by 10 as 6.5-point dogs. Like, this just feels like a spot where, Arkansas is 13-1 as their last 14 as a favorite. They're on an 11-2-1 ATS run. It's just too few points. Too much respect for a team that everybody wanted to bet on as a dog, and they got the wrong draw. So give me Arkansas.
I tend to agree here. My biggest thing as well, Arkansas's coach, and a lot of coaches are like this, is an adamant, if you get 2 fouls, you sit for the whole half, which I really am not an advocate of. Vermont is not exactly the team to expose that. Like, they're more of a shoot a lot of threes and methodical. They're not going to bang with Arkansas down low. And right. So unfortunately, I know for a fact that Vermont has the ceiling to cause big problems here, but we're just evaluating chance of success against the spread, of course. And for 5 points, Arkansas is a legitimate dangerous team in the entire bracket, never mind the first round. So as much as I'd love to see Vermont win, and I think they have a fighting chance, my heart and my head, kind of with the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I don't want to see Vermont win because I'm going to have some money on the other side there. Here's another one that I can't really find a take, and that's, you pin 2 mid-majors against each other, San Francisco and Murray State. Murray State laying the 1.5. If you made me pick it, I guess I'd take San Francisco, but I have no idea.
I don't like when they do this.
Yeah, neither do I.
It's just, I'm not a fan of it. I'm going to end up taking San Francisco. And again, it's partly just because I think that the West Coast Conference is much stronger this year, not just because they got 3 in. I just agree that it's deeper. And B, I really trust this coach. I'm a huge advocate of what he's doing. He's installing some very creative things. They have strong guard play. I don't know how good Murray State is. They're 30-2. I mean, talk about not being tested. Their losses, they slipped up against East Tennessee State. Okay. And then they lost to Auburn. No shame there. So there's just a wide unknown with them. I know more about San Francisco, battle tested. They played Gonzaga several times, St. Mary's several times. I think the Dons will get it done here in a pseudo pick-em.
I think you're probably right. No John Morant for Murray State this time around, which really helps you win games. All right, last game on Thursday. Nothing for me. Akron 13.5-point dogs against UCLA. I think UCLA potentially has an Elite 8 run in them. If you want to bet them to make the Elite 8, that's something I'm potentially interested in on DK Sportsbook. Sweet 16, but nothing on this game for me.
Nothing for me either. I will say it's starting to thin the margins because this total is under 130. And when you're giving that many points in a game that low, it's a little dicey. But at the same time, Akron could really put up, a team total in the 50s here, and that wouldn't surprise me.
All right, we got 20 minutes to run through the Friday games here before we get out of here, and it starts with Loyola Chicago, Ohio State. This is one where prior to the bracket being released, Loyola Chicago as a team I was looking to back. Ohio State is the top team I was looking to fade, and this came out, and I was like, oh my goodness. So Loyola Chicago in essentially a pick 'em. It's minus 115 money line right now. They match up really well. Ohio State's dinged up. We'll see if they have Young or not. I don't care. I hope he's out for my financial reasons, but if he plays, he plays. Maybe my biggest bet of the first round is going to be Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers here. You don't like it?
I definitely don't love it. I'm not saying that I'm betting Ohio State. I'm a little first of all, I think if Key and Young play, that is a huge deal for the Buckeyes. They need these guys back to deal with them. Loyola knows what they're doing. I don't think it's the same team clearly as we've seen. That coach, very, very strong, no longer there. They're a really quality squad, though, and they know what they're doing in the tournament. I thought the line would be a little better than this. Sister Jean getting a lot of love here. So I'll just say that much. I want to see who's going to be on the court for Ohio State. They need more than they've shown lately.
So I bet this one for, a standard amount because I know I like it. But if those guys are in for Ohio State, I'll probably leave it alone from what I have down at this point. If they are out, I'll probably double down on
that's fair.
Loyola Chicago. So that's my plan at this point in time. Tuesday afternoon recording here. Jacksonville State, Auburn.
No
clue.
It shouldn't even be in the tournament.
Right.
Bellarmine, baby.
Right. That I don't know. I do have the mindset of like some of these big ones like Gonzaga. Do I want to cut the number in half, lay a first half and hope it's a blowout, but not, who knows if there's a backdoor at the end with the bigger number. So I'll be looking at some of those. I don't think this is one of those scenarios. I just don't really know.
Agree.
Okay. Montana State, Texas Tech. Its numbers come down to 15. I do think Montana State can not get completely blown out in this game. Texas Tech in the West with the Zags, we'll see, and potentially an Elite Eight game against Duke if they can get there. I don't know if I'm going to actually do it, but I would take the points with Montana State, and some of the values even gone there at this point.
Yeah, I've seen them play. Good quality team. They will be smothered by this defense, as most teams are.
Yep.
So it's just going to be a matter of how much can they hang in there, because Texas Tech's not going to, outscore you in that sense.
So this is another one, 131.5 on the total. So how close can you keep it in a low scoring game?
Exactly. So like when you get in those scenarios, you really got to destroy a team to cover a number that big. I would tend to take the points there because, you can hang in a lot of backdoor covers when the other team only scores 65 points or so.
Right. All right. Similar conversation. Yale, Purdue. I don't think Purdue could win it all. They have the talent and bodies to win it all. And we talk about this all the time, and they just never put it together. Ivy is going to be a top 5 pick, great talent. They should kill Yale, but who knows?
I mean, this is the one team that I have positions on throughout the year already. I have tickets on Purdue to win it all, and I don't feel good about them. I didn't even get good numbers considering where they're at now. This specific matchup, though, Yale's outside the top 300 in height. That should be a serious problem here. And I didn't know that. Yeah, they are a really small team. But... a really small team. Not even just for the Ivy. They're just tiny in general. I would really hope that with the bigs that Purdue has, they start the tournament off on a crisp demolition of this team. Not just a win, because they are going to win. But I expect them to cover this number. And I actually think it's kind of important that they cover this number.
Okay. You've put Purdue on my radar as maybe minus 16.
I mean, they haven't covered in like 2 months. I've been betting them. But come on now.
Yeah. All right. I might lay some with Purdue or look at some Purdue first half. Interesting. All right, here we go again. We're getting into all these now. Delaware and Villanova, 15.5, 133.5 total. I got nothing.
Nah, good for the Blue Hens. I'm glad they're here. It's going to end pretty poorly. Number feels about right.
All right, here's another one like Memphis and Boise State and like Creighton and San Diego State that I haven't even put a team through in my bracket yet, which has no money on it. So that's how up in the air I am on this game. Miami out of the ACC, 1.5 point dogs against USC out of the Pac-12. Miami's a good team, shows some heart, good backcourt. USC's got the size, but has slowed down. Picking it on the fly, I'm like USC, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of these shows, and if people are watching, they're probably thinking like, what the hell is this guy saying? Because I think I've picked both sides of this already. Like I have, this is just a tough game. I trust that backcourt quite a bit. Miami really overachieved this year. Love that coach. It's just a tough one. I'll be honest. I don't think I'm going to bet it because why would I? It feels like a pick 'em, and that's where basically the line is. In my brackets, I think I'm writing in Miami, but it's not in Sharpie. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's another one of those games. Okay, Virginia Tech. Great run in the ACC, draws a Texas team that blew a monster lead to TCU in the Big 12 tournament, a Texas team that made the big move for Chris Beard, gets all these transfers, and crap to the bed. So here they are in a 6-11, this one all the way down to +1, essentially a pick 'em. And I will go with the low seed. I'll take Virginia Tech here to advance. I'm probably going to have some money on them to advance. They're playing well right now. They've got all the right pieces. They have veteran transfers from the small schools that are, doing their jobs, plus some ACC talent, and I just can't do it with Texas right now.
So at some point, and I'm guilty of this with a lot of teams, you just kind of have to acknowledge no matter how talented you are, if it's not working, it's not working. And Texas, to me, at the beginning of the year, I thought they might be a 1 seed. They have all the talent.
Yep.
I remember them playing Gonzaga in one of their early games, and I thought that they had a real chance to beat them.
Plus 7.5, I think.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Right.
It's not working. They were up 40-22 at halftime against TCU when they lost the game. I just can't back a team like that. Virginia Tech knows who they are. High variance because they take so many threes, but I'm going with the Hokies.
All right, I'm with you there. Chattanooga, Illinois. Chattanooga last week, I had my ticket on them to win their conference tournament.
Ooh.
It was about to lose. It gave me my first jump off the couch March moment. Hitting that, I don't even know how they had time to get to where they got and get
Poor
that shot
Furman.
Yeah, poor Furman. Now the 7.5 point dogs against Illinois. You can interest me in the dog here. Chattanooga can play. Illinois is really good, but they can also be not good. If Chattanooga is prepared and comes to play in this game, they're going to keep it within 7.5.
This is the type of matchup. If I was Illinois, I'd be very, very upset, to be honest. Chattanooga is a good team. It's not an upset in the sense that they're just going to battle. And I think that Illinois will out-talent them ultimately and move on. But it's just a tough game. It's not like, oh, Chattanooga got lucky and kept it close. Chattanooga is just a good team that can handle a team this good if they play well. So I would also take the points. I'm not going to call the upset here. I think Illinois will find a way to move on. But don't be shocked if this is a one-possession game with a couple minutes left.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Illinois probably does have the talent to ultimately get it done, but Chattanooga is a good team. I was ready to bet them against a lot of teams, and I'm ready to bet them against Illinois here. Duke 18.5 against Cal State Fullerton. The Coach K tour continues. Let down at home against UNC in the last game. Let him down in the ACC final against Virginia Tech. Sensing a trend. They're going to let Coach K down in this tournament. They're not good enough to make a Final Four run to win this thing. No take on this game, but ultimately just to bet against Duke at some point. I'll phrase it to you this way, unless you have a play on this game. Do you think Davidson or Michigan State can beat Duke in the first weekend?
I think that Michigan State can. And it's funny because I think that Davidson has a very good chance to beat Michigan State.
I do
but
too.
if Michigan State gets through the game, Michigan State can absolutely beat Duke. Someone's going to beat Duke. It's not going to be Cal State Fullerton, obviously.
Correct. I'm with you there. Okay, Iowa State LSU. I like this game a lot. Weird timing on the firing of Will Wade.
Yes.
But I don't care. Something about Will Wade's face. Don't like that, but he can coach. Something about that face. Iowa State. I think LSU is going to roll Iowa State, and I think that LSU plus 150 to even make the Sweet 16 is a nice bet to look at. But I'm going to have LSU -4. I'm going to have LSU in a money line parlay. I think LSU is going to stomp this Iowa State team on Friday.
Iowa State came out of the gate just rolling, and then it really started to slow. It's almost a miracle that they held on to even get in this dance. So
yeah.
I'm not going to push back on that. They were, like I said, they were 12-0, and they finished 20-12. So you can do the math there. It's not a great team once they get in the conference play. LSU's got problems of their own, but talent wise, I think they distinctly have the advantage.
Yeah. Obviously they have issues. They don't have a coach. So I'm strictly betting on talent here, and I hope it prevails. Houston UAB. I wrote up Houston as a potential money line parlay piece, but at 8.5, getting close to 9, that's a lot of points against UAB. I don't know about this game. This is another one almost like Richmond, Iowa, where I think Houston wins. The UAB covers, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it.
I mean, Houston is just I don't understand, to be honest. They lost 2 huge pieces for the year. Yeah. And it doesn't even matter. They just keep chugging along, super strong defensively, hard-nosed team. UAB, I don't really know much about, but I know how Houston plays, and time again, they show up and they battle. I expect them to do that here. I don't know if I want to lay the points, but I do feel very confident that they don't get clipped here.
Yep, fair enough. All right, Davidson, Michigan State, just like we alluded to. Man, basically a pick 'em. I don't hate Davidson out of the A10. They they just play their game and knock down threes, and they're well coached and they do their thing. So is there, methodical play going to prevail over a wild roller coaster ride Michigan State team? Or are the athletes and Izzo and March going to just take care of a Davidson team that they clearly have a talent edge, size edge, all of that stuff over? I don't know. But I tend to think Michigan State can find a way to get it done. But again, tough game.
Kind of feels that way to me as well. Michigan State's turnover problems are absolutely ridiculous. They cannot hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Problem is Davidson outside the top 300 in turnovers forced. They don't really expose that. They make their shots. They're going to win the game. If they don't, Michigan State, lower variance. I kind of feel like they're going to find a way, but it's a very, very tough game.
Yeah, that'll probably be a small bet on Michigan State for me or nothing. Here we go. Colgate, Wisconsin. As you said to me, unfortunately, they get this one in Green Bay.
Yeah, like what?
I think I'm just gonna overlook that and play Colgate plus 7.5. Terrible matchup last year with Arkansas for this team. Now they get a much slower team that they can certainly expose. Johnny Davis is spectacular. Everybody else, you could just switch the jerseys and I'd think they'd be playing for Colgate. So I think 7.5. I like you told me before we went on, I wish this wasn't being played where it was, but I still think I'm going to take the points with Colgate.
Yeah, I mean, they are second in the country behind South Dakota State in 3-point percentage. This team knows what they're doing. They played well last year in the tournament. They just happen to be playing in Wisconsin, and that's really unfortunate. It's not the end all be all though. So I would definitely take the points. I think another team that if they hit their shots, you better watch out because they can absolutely win this game.
There we go. All right, final one on Friday night. The nightcap is going to be TCU Seton Hall. Pick'em game. I think the way TCU's playing right now, they're going to give Seton Hall some problems. So this is one of the 8-9 games, coin flip games. Who's it going to be where I do have a take? I do have a side. I'm going to bet TCU to win this game and take out Seton Hall.
I've gone back and forth on this one. And Seton Hall, they've had some injuries throughout the year. I can't really gauge them. I don't think I'm going to be honest. I'm going to ask you a different question. I don't have a take on the game, so I'll go with you. Do you think either of these teams can cause Arizona any problems?
No.
Okay. I don't either. And I think that's most important to me.
I think TCU's playing better and maybe could hang for longer. But no, so we'll just close this transitions us right into closing thoughts, futures wise. The first future that I bet for this tournament, and I'll have an article out on it soon, is Arizona plus 150 to win their bracket. I don't see it happening. And I was on the fence with this team. I knew what they were, but I wasn't all the way in until I saw what they did without their point guard to UCLA in that comeback. Size at every position, skill at every position, depth. Sure, they're a little young, but that just shows you how good they are. No problem getting to the Sweet 16, which is like over minus 400. I think they're minus 140 to get to the Elite Eight. They would have to beat Illinois, Houston, Chattanooga, UAB team to get there. Let's call it Houston. I think they get there, and then call it Tennessee Nova in the Elite Eight to reach the Final Four. I think Arizona plus 150 is my favorite Final Four bet outside of like long shots.
I feel most comfortable with them amongst the 1 seeds. And then for me, obviously, I think that Purdue does have a road. You're going to get about 5-1 to win their region. Kentucky, that's going to be a challenge if it gets there, but I don't think they're going to play Baylor. I don't think that Purdue will ever have to play Baylor from the top. And if that's the case, you're saying, okay, can they get through one very difficult game and a couple of mediocre games? I think that they can. They have a chance. We never know with a team like that, but outside the crazy long shots, I think, those 3 seeds, the Tennessees, those type of teams of the world, if Tennessee wasn't in the pod with Arizona, I would be talking about them maybe making a deep run.
Yeah. Tennessee's a good team. I lost some money going against them over the weekend.
Yeah, I bet Kentucky against them too.
Yep. Whoops.
Not great.
All right, like to reach Sweet 16. Oh man, UCLA is up at minus 180. That's a little higher than I was hoping, but I don't hate that. Let me see that. Yeah, Arizona minus 140 to reach the Elite Eight, I think is a good bet. The bracket you're talking about, I have a Kentucky UCLA Elite Eight game. Like you said, UNC is live to knock off Baylor as well. I think the strangest bracket, I guess, is I'm going to have little sprinkles on Iowa and LSU to come out of the Midwest because I think that's a weird bracket.
The Midwest is a weird bracket for sure, because I think most people would say that the 3 and the 4 are the weakest. Wisconsin as a 3 and Providence as a 4 could be knocked off early. I'm not saying they're going to, but they definitely could. And if that happens, it's a lot of pressure on Kansas and Auburn. If they don't come out, you could be seeing anybody come out of there, and that would be true chaos.
Exactly. I would say I'm a little more down on the top 4 seeds there.
Yeah.
The perception. All right. Ben Rasa from Awesemo.com. Any parting thoughts on the tournament that you want to leave us with, and tell the people where they can find your work?
Yeah. Obviously, if you're looking for brackets or you want to talk some bets throughout the week, come find me over at Awesemo. We got a great community. Just hop on in there. We've got packages. You sign up for our Discord, you hop in there, and it's just a good old time. If you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at JazzRazDFS. So thanks for having me on, buddy. Let's make some money.
The time is here, and I'll make you pick this. I think you have the same answer as me. I have a Kentucky-Arizona final. Is that what you have in your bracket?
So if I was in a conservative pool with not like hundreds of people, that is the final that I also would come up with. Yes.
Okay, there we go.
And I would have Arizona probably cutting them down, to be honest.
Yep. Well, so there's no chance in that.
No, you can put that, eliminate that right off the bat.
We have the same final. All right. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. We are going to be right back for a quick segment. Odds are with Johnny Avello. Go behind the book and look at some of these numbers. All right, as promised, you haven't heard the music since the NFL playoffs, but we got the man back on the Unreasonable Odds podcast. You know what it means. Time for Odds Are with Johnny Avello. Johnny, how we doing?
Great, Julian. Thanks. It's been a while, but the action hasn't changed, has it? And football ended, and college basketball in full swing, and now the tournament. We're all excited.
Absolutely, the one of the best weeks of the year. So let's talk about this. We had the show on Sunday night, us at DraftKings and VSiN, talking opening lines and talking, going over these things, watching them literally move as we were on that show. So DraftKings Sportsbook, awesome job opening them all up almost as soon as these matchups were revealed. Can you just kind of take us behind the scenes first of what the process is like in those 10 minutes or less that you guys learn the matchup and then get a spread up on the board?
It's a bit hectic, but, we were quite prepared. The college basketball trading team had their power ratings all squared away, ready to fire off the number once the matchups were announced. I personally always find the process of writing down the matchup as it's announced and making a number at the same time quite fast and furious. But plus we had one guy betting 50 times a game and another guy betting 100, and we had to monitor the moving of the lines among other things. So the team did a great job and got those numbers up in a sufficient amount of time, and all things were good.
Yeah, I mean, once a number opens up, and like you said, we had someone, Frank, on the show making some big bets on these games. A number opens up, and then you're, on to opening up the next number, but you just took 50 grand on this game. So do you have to move that game? That's, a lot of moving parts at once.
Yeah, we were prepared. We had everybody kind of knew the roles. And so it all went really smooth. We were happy with the outcome.
Beautiful. All right. So some time to settle. We're recording on Tuesday afternoon here on the East Coast. So whatever it is, close to 48 hours, 40 hours, I guess, since these things opened up on Sunday night. Which games have taken the most money? Which games have moved the most in terms of sides so far?
Well, let's start with Wednesday's play-in game. Bright State opened 1.5 over Bryant. They're now up to 3.5. On Thursday, the first game of the tournament, you have a 17-win Michigan team taking on Colorado State. We opened this game a pick. Now the Wolverines are up to 2.5 points.
That one I think that one touched 3 while we were on the air Sunday. So that was immediate 3-point move, and now settling down a little bit.
Gonzaga is an interesting game, Julian, to talk about on the opener. We opened 26.5, and it was laid initially on Sunday up to 27.5, but since it's dropped all the way back down to 23.5. That probably could see a little bit more, a touch moving up before game time. UCLA opened 15.5-point favorite. Now they're down to 13.5. On Friday, Wisconsin versus Colgate was one of two movers. Wisconsin 9 down to 7.5. The other was Nova against Delaware from an opener of 17, now down to 15.5.
People taking some of those dogs against some of the top seeds. It seems like numbers too big. All right. So of the games, all the games are still on the board. Of the games on the board that haven't necessarily moved the most so far, are there any that you think has the potential to significantly move by tip-off? You mentioned you think Gonzaga does start to creep back up. I agree. After looking at that Georgia State resume, I don't see how they are not going to get slaughtered in that game. The question is by how many. But any other movers that you see on the horizon?
Two teams that lost in the finals of their conference tournaments will probably take quite a bit of money in these first round matchups. That's Kentucky versus St. Peter's. We opened 17. That's now 18. I could see that moving higher. And Duke's playing Fullerton. Duke's opener was 18. Now it's 18.5. And I'm sure you're going to see 19 or even north of that.
All right, there we go. A couple blue bloods, no surprise. Let's go to totals. Those trickled out, not too long after the spreads. Obviously, we make a big deal of the spreads coming out. The totals came out pretty close after. Have we seen any big movement on the totals?
Yeah, we actually have. San Francisco and Murray State dropped from 138 to 136.5. St. Pete's in Kentucky from 133.5 to 131.5. St. Peter's is a really low scoring game and scoring team, and they only allow about 62 points a game. Now that's in the Metro Atlantic Athletic playing.
You want to give me a Kentucky? You want to give me a Kentucky team total 62? I'll take over.
Yeah, you play Iona, Siena, Monmouth. It's a little bit different. Will it hold up here? A couple of others, North Carolina versus Marquette up from 151.5 from 150. That has the potential to be a track meet. Iowa State and LSU was a big mover from 123.5 to 127.5. Wow. And Delaware versus Villanova moved from 129.5 to 133.5. Now, I can see that as the Fighting Blue Hens have one of the weaker defenses in the entire tournament.
Yeah, probably not a great chance to slow down Nova there. All right, futures market. Bettors have been wagering on the futures market obviously all season, but now that we've seen the bracket, we know every team's path. It becomes much more clear how you want to bet this, and I think bettors have been getting down a lot this week with the bracket laid out. So, what have some of the most popular bets been so far in the futures market? Any big movers there?
You're right. When these numbers are now up on the final field, there's some good value out there, because here's what happens is that bookmakers have to try to balance out the books a little bit. So Some of the teams are low where they have a lot of money on, and some teams are higher where they don't have any money on. We raise, and we do it, and everybody does it, raise some of those teams a little bit higher to try to attract money. Now, the Zags have been bet all year. And so, we've taken money on them from start to finish. Arizona had a stretch of taking action. But over the last couple of weeks, there's been some pretty significant pops on Tennessee, Kansas, and Arkansas.
Wow. All right. Some SEC love in there, getting some late numbers in. All right. That's all we got. Quick and easy for you today, Johnny. Appreciate the time. Obviously, we got a lot more to go in this tournament. Quick turnaround into those Friday, Sunday games. I'll ask you this. Once we start to know the matchups for some of these second round games, like as games wrap up on Thursday, how soon can we expect to see those Saturday lines popping up on DK Sportsbook?
I don't know, 10 to 20 seconds.
All right, quick and easy, just like the release show. All right, Johnny, I'll be out in Vegas for the madness. It wouldn't be madness unless I was there, so I'll be in town. Maybe I'll see you around. Need some food recommendations, things of that nature. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great week. Thanks for coming on Unreasonable Odds with us.
You're welcome. I'll see you real soon, Julian.